let me just go back to Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen, if I may. When I originally reviewed that movie, I gave it a thumbs up, although I did say at the time that it was a decision that I may regret. I would now like to rephrase that, mainly because even the director, Michael Bay himself, has gone on record to say that Transformers 2 was crap. Not to mention that the film picked up several golden raspberries at the annual Razzie Awards. So with that in mind, I would like to downgrade my previous rating of Transformers 2 to a mere sideways thumb. So, what's different about Transformers 3 then? Well, hold your horses, I'll tell you. Well, first of all, there's a couple of things. For a start, they got rid of those annoying gangster rapper wannabe Autobot twins, one of which was voiced by SpongeBob SquarePants himself, Tom Kenny. I guess this is in response to a lot of film critics stating that they absolutely hated these characters. The robotic equivalent of Jar Jar Binks, you could say. Also getting the elbow this time round is Megan Fox. Now, I don't know if this is a response to, again, the critics signalling out her performance in the last film, or whether it was down to a falling out with director Michael Bay. To be honest, I don't think comparing him to Hitler really did her any favours. But nevertheless, Megan Fox is out, and a new girl is in, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. I'm assuming she's a lingerie model of some kind, as there's plenty of shots in her in the tightest clothing possible. In fact, just like they did with Megan Fox, the first real shot that introduces her character is a long, lingering shot of her arse. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. If Michael Bay wasn't directing over-the-top action movies, he'd certainly be directing porn. I will say this as well, Rosie is not an improvement over Megan Fox. It's clear that the poor lass can't act to save her life, and those overly pumped up lips of hers just make her look ridiculous, quite frankly. Her only real contribution to the movie is to scream a lot, look pretty, and to remind Megatron at some point that he's nothing more than Sentinel Prime's bitch. More on that character later. I have to take issue with the actual title of the movie as well. Dark of the Moon doesn't actually sound right, does it? When this film was first announced, the title was Dark Side of the Moon, and indeed throughout the film they refer to the dark side of the moon. Why couldn't they have just called the film Dark Side of the Moon rather than Dark of the Moon? Dark Side of the Moon would have made more sense, and I was hoping that this would also mean they would slot in cameo appearances from Darth Vader and Pink Floyd. Anyway, poor old Shia LaBeouf. In the first Transformers film, I actually found his performance rather enjoyable. But now he's in a third Transformers movie, you realise that there's only so many times you can watch the same actor doing the same looking upwards, open-mouthed, gormless expression before you realise you've seen his whole repertoire. Oh, and of course, like every other movie that hits the cinema these days, whether it justifies it or not, it's all in fucking 3D. A gimmick that's already run its course, and is now nothing more than an excuse to squeeze an extra couple of quid out of cinema goers. In the case of Transformers 3, this means even more shit than usual has been flicked at the screen. Oh joy. And let's not forget that Michael Bay films always tend to be so full of explosions and desperately unfunny characters that he forgets little things like plot, structure, characterization, and even fucking continuity. Like how come Rosie is able to straighten her hair midway through a Decepticon attack? Now, the biggest problem this movie has is that it's just over 2 hours long, and for an hour and a half we have to put up with a lot of stupid comedy and annoying characters. Did we really need to see Mr. Chow from The Hangover straddling Shia LaBeouf in a toilet cubicle? Although having said that, John Malkovich was amusing as Sam's crazy new boss, but this is merely nothing more than a cameo appearance for him. It makes you wish that Malkovich had appeared in Horrible Bosses. Well, I certainly did anyway. Oh sure, we do get the Transformers themselves once in a while, but they show up, say a couple of lines, and then bugger off screen again. We get a couple of new Transformer characters here, including Shockwave, Laserbeak, and Sentinel Prime. But seeing as Sentinel is voiced by Mr. Spock himself, Leonard Nimoy, who also did the voice of Galvatron in the original, and still best in my opinion, Transformers movie of 1986, it really comes as no surprise to find out that he's the bad guy this time round. What was wrong with having Megatron rebuilt after his ass kicking at the end of Transformers 2, and then being turned into Galvatron with Nimoy doing his voice? Would have made more sense. Instead, Megatron is walking around with a bit of tarpaulin round his head, looking like Dr. fucking Doom. It's annoying because all the time spent on doing the stupid comedy could have been spent fleshing out these new characters. For the last half hour, the movie seems to realise that, hey, wait a minute, I'm a goddamn Transformers movie here, and it kicks up a few notches with a scene that has a number of characters trapped inside a skyscraper which is toppling over. And this is generally packed with a lot of action, and this pretty much saves the movie in my opinion. However, this third Transformers movie had so much potential, but in the end it just doesn't do enough with the material that it's been given. A lot of the time, you want the Transformers to be on screen, and that's not what you're getting. Also, where's the goddamn Dinobots? We've got the toy versions in Toys R Us, how about getting them on screen? If you're a Transformers fan and you've not seen this movie yet, then I'll warn you, although it's better than Transformers 2, as well as being much more violent and more darker in tone than the previous two movies, Transformers 3 does show that this franchise is really on its last legs now. As a result of this, I can only say that Transformers 3 only gets a sideways thumb.